released this fight scene last week. Let's break it down. A fight scene is not something that's easy to do. Whether you're doing this in animation or in real life, a lot of what I'm going to say will still apply. What's up, survivalists? It's Jay from Team WNJ here. If you're new here, I upload videos like these on Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So subscribe now and hit that bell icon to not miss a single upload. If you're already subscribed, welcome back. It's great to see you again. Make sure you leave a comment so I can remember who you are. I received some awesome feedback on my previous videos, so let's try to do it for this one again. Let's try to hit 10 likes. On to the video. The first thing that I think of when I think of fight scene is the choreography. Specifically, how can I make my fights look believable? Let me let you in on a secret real quick. Are you ready? Well, believable fights aren't real fights. Let me explain with this scale here. On the left, we have fake, in the middle, we have realistic, and on the far right, we have real. Now, what is considered believable can lie anywhere on the scale, depending on the theme of your story, and must stay consistent. Let's start with fake fights. Fake fights are reserved for comedy or comedic relief in serious movies. Fake fights require the least amount of skill and usually look pretty bad because nothing the actors are doing actually work. Take, for instance, this fight between these two little kids in the movie Ip Man 3. Now, how you don't want to do this is accidentally. Because this requires the least amount of skill, sometimes you might get an actor that just really doesn't know what he's doing, or the choreography is just bad. You don't want to end up with something that looks like this. And keep in mind, this is supposed to be a serious fight. Anyway, let's move up the scale a little bit. In between fake and realistic, we have Jackie Chan.
Hi, I'm Jackie Chan.
This is reserved for action comedy, exactly what Jackie Chan excels at. The stuff in this category usually involves things that would work in the fight, but turned up all the way to extreme. So, for example, improvised weapons, and Jackie Chan is the king of environmental combat and improvised weapons. Yeah, so picking up a stick off the ground or a bottle, that's a good weapon. But what about a ladder? Yeah, if you think about it, whomping someone with a damn ladder is probably going to hurt them pretty bad. But it's so ridiculously over the top that it takes the realism level down in exchange for comedy, and it works. Now, the problem comes when people aren't sure what is and is not ridiculously over the top. So, for example, my favorite movie series is the Ip Man series. This falls in the category of realistic, and I'll get to that later. In the most recent spin-off sequel, Ip Man Master Z, the guys are floating around and basically flying on neon signs in old-day Hong Kong. Now, that would be pretty cool if it weren't for the fact that Ip Man had already previously established itself to be one of the most well-choreographed realistic fight movies. Because of all the wire work done in this one, it ends up looking absolutely ridiculous and downright comedic when it's not supposed to. Speaking of realistic fight choreography, let's move on to Ip Man. For me, this is the pinnacle of realistic fighting. It encompasses real moves that do work in a fight regardless of how probable it might be to actually pull it off. The key thing here is that every technique is well thought out and would actually work in a hypothetical situation. So why is this realistic but not real? Well, other than the fact that the guys aren't actually trying to beat the shit out of each other, a real fight looks nothing like this. Let me explain by showing you some of the scenes from the Ip Man movies. You're going to notice 3 key traits that are necessary for all these scenes to work. One is Telepathic Protagonist and or God Protagonist. Second is Dumb Enemy. And third is Frozen in Time. So first one is Telepathic Protagonist or God Protagonist. In real fights, attacks come at you very, very quickly. The ones that you see coming are easier to dodge, but the ones that you don't are really down to luck. Telepathic Protagonist and or God Protagonist refers to a protagonist that can see everything coming and dodge everything or block everything. And if a attack manages to come through, they'll either be invulnerable or won't sustain long-term damage. So let's take a look at this. So, Ip Man blocks all these punches coming in, that's fine, that happens. Blocks this kick that's coming from a mile away, sure. But then this happens. Did you catch that? He did a Showtime Kick off the broken light. It's called the Showtime Kick because even former UFC champion Benson Henderson could not dodge it when it was unexpectedly thrown by Anthony Showtime Pettis. And this guy is able to dodge it from that range. He then also follows up by knowing exactly where to position his arms to defend the exact attacks that are coming. See, here's the thing, none of this is impossible. It is possible that Ip Man is just that skilled that he's able to read, see, and dodge everything. That's what sets realistic fighting apart from real fighting. You can have these god characters that just know what to do and when to do them. It certainly works very well to show how skilled the protagonist is too. Or does it? No doubt that most of the time we think the protagonist is highly skilled, but when you look deeper, you might discover that it's the bad guys who aren't the brightest. Number 2. Dumb enemy. Here's Ip Man 1, possibly the most famous fight scene of all time. It's Ip Man versus 10 karate black belts. So here's Ip Man dismantling all these guys one by one, but everyone else in the background is just kind of standing there. Like, this guy is getting his face pounded in by Jackhammer, and there's at least 3 dudes standing behind Ip Man, just kind of watching. Now, the reason they can get away with it is because the eye is drawn to action. If you're looking at the 9 other dudes in the background instead of watching this dude's face get pounded to oblivion, you're doing something wrong. Also, they have this scene where Ip Man directly fights 4 dudes at once, and this helps sell that, yes, he can indeed take on multiple dudes at once, he just doesn't have to. Again, is this possible in real life? Well, obviously, yes, they did it in the movie. Well, I mean, look, if the 10 black belts you're facing are just really bad black belts, and guys just throwing punches that aren't even targeted at you, yeah, it's absolutely possible. Is it likely that you're gonna win against 10 karate black belts as a Wing Chun master? No. Just to explain a bit more clearly, if someone threw a punch at me and I blocked it with this exact block and threw this exact punch to knock him out afterwards, yes, that could happen in a very hypothetical situation, but that's one hypothetical out of a billion different possibilities. The thing is, it can happen. The third trait is frozen in time. This happens a lot when people are demonstrating a faulty martial arts move that starts with grabbing the punch. As previously established, a punch comes at you very quickly. You can't just snatch it from thin air unless you have the previously established god protagonist or dumb enemy. Sometimes the enemy just punches and then leaves their hand there without retracting, allowing the protagonist to execute some sort of fancy move, that or the protagonist just sees it coming somehow and actually catches it from thin air. Either way, again, it is not impossible for this to happen, it's just very unlikely. Ultimately, these scenes are realistic because all these things could happen. If some unfortunate dude charges up next to me and completely misses his punch, and I counter by side-kicking him, he'll go down. That's reality. It's just the guy charging in and missing that are used to manipulate reality to make that 1% move work 100% of the time. Other great movies in this category are John Wick and The Raid. There's some more stuff you can check out. After realistic fighting, there is the really realistic fighting category.
God damn it, I managed to record another 15-minute video. I'll continue this next week.
Make sure you smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to see more episodes of Love is Clear faster, don't forget to check out our Patreon. Patreon is a service that allows you to support creators like us by pledging an amount you choose every month. So if you got $1 to spare, do check out one of our awesome pledges on Patreon. Cheers!